Hello, everybody, and welcome to Uproot Reddit. Imagine being on an island getaway with your parents, sleeping nice and peaceful with a hooded figure standing over you. Wait, that last part sounded really weird. Well, that's because Reddit user DK325 experienced this in today's Let's Not Meet post. I woke up to a hooded figure standing over me. This occurred in 2017 and is 100% true. Due to a multitude of factors, including a recent death of a close friend, I was unbearably depressed at this time in my life. For that reason, my family flew across the country to visit me in LA, where I live. We thought it would be nice to visit Catalina Island. When we arrived, it became apparent to us that it was the off-season. It was late November, the weather was cold, and as a result, the island was nearly empty besides locals and a few straggling tourists such as ourselves. Our first priority was to ditch our luggage so we could explore the island, so we immediately checked into our motel, though that word hardly does the place justice. I call it a motel because all the doors to the rooms exited to the outside, but in actuality our room was one of 20 to 30 quaint guest house looking buildings arranged in sort of a horseshoe shape around a walkway, with rooms on either side of the path. So then, can we call it a fancy motel? The entrance to the motel was essentially one of the points of the horseshoe, and if you walked dead straight, you'd reach the room we were given, essentially on the corner, before you have to go right to go further into the horseshoe. So from our room, one path leads back to the street, the other further into the secluded maze of rooms. Now stay with me. After a day of exploring and having just finished dinner, it was time for the cold, dark walk back to the room. Catalina Island is a decent distance from the mainland, and let me just say, it gets dark. Similarly dark was my headspace after the dinner conversation took a left-hand turn and my overwhelming depression got the best of me. I pulled my black hoodie tighter over my freezing ears and walked ahead of my parents to the hotel room, telling them I just needed to go to sleep. And I did immediately. Depression sometimes makes that easy. I was already losing consciousness as they entered after me, drifting off without so much as a good night. I then woke up to my mom saying my name, a harsh whisper. The room had two beds, my parents' bed closer to the door and mine further in the room. My mom's voice cut through the silence again. She sounded concerned for me. Now, I didn't blame her considering my mental state at the time. Groggy, I rolled over. What? I asked. As my eyes adjusted to the dim moonlight coming in through the curtains, I saw her turn to face me. She was surprised to see me in my bed? Uh-oh. Something tells me you had a doppelganger moment. Her eyes got wide. If I'm in my bed, who was she talking to? We both looked back to where she was previously looking to see a hooded figure in all black standing over their bed. I know this is Let's Not Meet, and you're reading this knowing a creepy thing is going to happen. It's in the title. But understand how horrifically startling it is to be on an island in the middle of the ocean and wake up to see a hooded stranger looming over you. This moment seemed to last forever. Life isn't like in movies, where characters unleash a blood-curdling scream. Sometimes the only thing that comes out is something panicked and guttural. My mom's words became low and severe as she said my dad's name in a dire voice I've never heard her use before. Then the hooded figure did something so bizarre and unsettling. It didn't advance towards us, but instead crouched in the corner near where it stood. The way it crouched was so absolutely unexpected, even in regards to this already unexpected situation, that it terrified me. It seemed animalistic. I knew two things. The hooded figure had been standing over us sleeping, and it's not acting in any sort of way that I can understand. As opposed to the infinite moment of this figure standing over us mere seconds ago, the series of events that unfolded when my hulking, ex-military dad woke up happened in an instant. Suddenly, we were out the door, not knowing which way the intruder went. My mom was screaming, "Get him! Get him!" My dad was running down one path of the horseshoe, further into the hotel, shouting through sheer adrenaline, "I'm going to kill you!" I ran down the other path, towards the street. When I got there, not a sign of the intruder. But it became suspiciously quiet behind me. I ran back to the room to find my dad quietly walking back, his head low. He gets really close to me, and I hear him say, "It's a freaking kid." The explanation? Some young teen, tall and lanky as I am in my 20s, wearing all black including a black hoodie, went into the wrong room. Our room. The one time my parents just so happened to forget to lock the door. My mom woke up when he entered, and seeing a tall person in a black hoodie, thought he was me, assumedly leaving the room in a depressive episode. And when the hooded figure crouched, that was him realizing his mistake and panicking. He was scared of us. As I got back to the room, my mom walked out and hugs this kid who was now crying his eyes out. I would be too if a massive ex-soldier was sprinting after me with murder in his eyes. So, to the now traumatized kid from Catalina Island, I look forward to reading your Let's Not Meet of this same event from your perspective. Boy, that took a turn. But I'm glad everybody is safe. Because it's one thing to get chased at night, especially from an ex-soldier. But it's a different story when you're chased out in broad daylight by actual creeps. Who does that? Reddit user XXAnder XMetaXX experienced a do or die moment in today's post. I was being chased in broad daylight. This happened when I was a junior in high school. I was 16 years old when I was invited to one of my friend's birthday party. A lot of really scary things happened to me in this period of my life, living in this area. But this is one of the scarier events. I lived pretty close to my school in a nearby apartment complex, then in the middle of a big city. So most of the time, I just biked the 5 to 7 minutes to school. The party wasn't until 4:30, so the plan for me was to bike back home to change, drop off my bike, walk to the diner next to the complex, and wait until I could get picked up there. I get home to change clothes and grab a bag to put my ukulele in and other essentials with me. My ukulele didn't fit in my bag, so I zipped it up on both sides so the top was visible. I grabbed my keys and I'm off. Now, to get an idea of how the parking lot was set up, the entire complex had a gate with short walls and a metal fence around the top of it. The cars were all lined around the gate, and across it were the 30 to 40 apartment buildings in between. I happen to live right on the corner of the car gate, but to avoid the public, I usually walk inside the gate till I get to the other end where there's a small gate door that looks locked, but never is. I was walking down the sidewalk, passing the apartments, when I see two men across me on the street. One of them turned and looked directly at me. I initially thought something was off, but I didn't really think much of it and simply avoided them since I was close to the gate door anyway. After a bit, he started to walk slightly adjacent from me and next to the cars. He looked to be at least in his mid-40s. He had dark hair and tan skin that didn't seem like he took good care of. He suddenly asked me, "What kind of instrument is that?" referring to the ukulele in my backpack. Now, I dumbly responded very briefly, "Ukulele," and ignored him since I was still very young and it was just my first reaction. I immediately regretted it since he started to pace up just a little more and he starts to ask, "What's your name?" At this point, I got a sinking gut feeling. I knew that I needed to get out of there. My fight or flight kicked in and started to quicken my pace. As expected, he started to do the same, but his friendly tone switched quickly. and he started repeating himself, but more aggressively. I started to run at this point, and he did the same. Thank goodness there happened to be another younger man at the end of the gates who saw me sprinting to the gate. I started to wave towards the man, asking for help while panting from the sprinting and sheer adrenaline shooting through my body. He quickly noticed everything happening, opened the gate for me to let me through, and proceeded to block the way from the man previously chasing me. I sprinted all the way to the diner, telling them how I was chased and asking them to sit in a seat away from the windows. The team was very polite and helpful overall. They brought me water and allowed me to wait until my friend arrived. I can't imagine what would happen in an alternative situation. I wish I could thank the man that helped me. I don't know if I would have been fast enough if it wasn't for him. Now I refuse to walk anywhere by myself, and only bike or drive if I need to. Yeah, that was a close call. Remember, always stick to crowds, be it day or night. You never know what creep is lurking around the corner. But anyways, that's all for today. We'll be back for more Let's Not Meet stories right here on Uproot Reddit. Stay safe, everyone.